So today's practice is one where we're going to be focusing on primarily opening up through the front body and the inside line of the legs. And we're also going to be focusing on getting into the outside line of the body. So we're going to actually move the spine pretty much in all the directions that we can as we flow together today. And we'll be feeling as though we're awakening the hips. So it's kind of like that gentle class where you've been sitting down a lot during the week. Maybe you've been a little bit stressed and tense. And how does that look physically in the body? It tends to go from sitting up to being a bit like this, doesn't it? So we start to close off the front body and get really tight on the inside line. So what I want to do today is really awaken those areas around the inner thigh, front of the hip, chest, space to breathe. It always helps us to calm down when we've got physical space in the body, and then that gives us that mental space up here as well. So what we're going to do is get started with a block or a cushion underneath our bottoms. So grab something to prop yourself up, and if that doesn't suit you, just stay on the mat as you are, no problem. Cross legs if it's comfortable for you. And if cross leg is not your thing, then sitting on your shins instead, or even legs out in front of you, you can lie down if you prefer. And just take a moment to find a position for your hands to rest on your legs if you're seated somewhere, palms down or up to you. And just sit up as tall as you can, unless of course you're lying down. Chest is nice and broad, shoulders are relaxed and drawing down the back, away from your ears. So you've got all of this space for the neck to be free. Crown of the head is lifting upward. And then just take a chest check down to the ribs. If the ribs are kind of puffing forward, can you almost knit them in towards each other? So you'll feel the belly muscles start to fire up a bit there as well. And then can you hold that length and space that you've created in the upper body, but soften the belly? Take the tongue away from the roof of the mouth as you slowly start to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just take a moment to let a little smile come onto your lips. Take a big breath in through the nose as you keep that smile in place. And imagine yourself growing literally taller as that breath fills you up and you need to keep expanding to make room for it. And can you maintain that length that you've created in the spine as you exhale, softening, releasing, letting go. Take another big breath in through the nose as you inhale. Notice now the ribs expanding in all directions, forwards, backwards, out to the left and right side. Hold the breath if you can briefly at the top, just for a moment. And then before it becomes urgent, let the exhale begin, just slowly releasing, softening around the edges, but keeping the length. Let's do one more like that. Big inhale, feeling expansion in all directions. Still with the smile in place, pausing at the top. Awareness of how much space we create just from 3 simple breaths here. And then before it becomes urgent, once again, just letting that exhale release through the nose or mouth. And with the eyes closed, with the smile still in place, just ask yourself, how do I feel? Like a marker in the sand, the beginning of the practice, the beginning of the day for some of us, how do I feel? And once you've checked in and noticed how you feel, just slowly start to open up those eyes. And whatever you may or may not be sitting on, just gently move it out of the way. If you were cross-legged, let's go ahead and change the cross of the legs. So it might feel like it's the not so natural way to sit. And if it's manageable, stay there. If it isn't, of course, change it. And then keep that nice long spine. Take the left hand down to the ground. Right hand reaches up to the sky. And on the exhale, just slowly lean over. So we start by inviting that sense of space through the right side of the upper body. Maybe we'll lean back with the shoulder. Maybe we'll reach a bit further with the fingers. And maybe we'll just stay where we are. Gaze can be wherever feels comfortable for the neck. And I want you to think about this class as finding space. Noticing where the tension sits in the body. And inviting that tension to leave as we flow. Come back up through center on the in-breath, taking the right hand down to the earth now, left hand up to the sky. On the exhale, reaching over. Shoulder draws back, fingers lengthening away. Nice and relaxed around the neck. And as we notice the space, as we notice the tension leaving, I want you to just tune in to how it feels as that tension leaves. Notice the areas that feel really good in the body. Don't just focus on the areas that feel tight. Let there be a little celebration today as well. Let's do that one more time in each direction. Left hand down, right hand up and over. How does it feel second time around? Maybe a little more liberating, a little bit more freedom, a little bit more lift in between the ribs here. Nice. And then last time, right hand down, left hand up and over. You might even notice that one side feels easier or more challenging than the other. And every time we meet ourselves on the mat, something might be different to how it was last time we practiced. And that's why we keep showing up. We're keeping on that exploration of our bodies, our minds. And then go ahead and come back up to a seat. Now we're going to go and make our way into tabletop position. So a nice simple start to the practice today, a very mellow flow. Fingers as wide as you can. So you're pushing down through the heel of the hand, the knuckles, the fingertips. And on the inhale, I want you to just soften the belly. Reach the chest forward, draw the shoulders back, and just look towards the top of the mat or a little off the mat. Notice how that feeling of ease comes through the belly now, an area that we often grip and hold on to when we're tight and tense and anxious. Even when we're trying to fit into our skinniest jeans, we hold and grip. Sometimes we forget to relax. And then as you exhale, I want you to round through the spine, draw the chin to the chest. And as you do that, push the ground away from you with the hands. So you've got that really nice separation of the shoulder blades. And just feel that nice release in the muscle there. That muscle is responsible for moving the shoulders, helping to move the arms. And let's do that again. Belly softens, chest comes forward, gaze comes forwards. Pelvic bowl is tilting back and forwards. We're getting a nice ease through the tissues of the upper and lower body. And then last time, that exhale, releasing, rounding. And just notice which areas of the spine or the back of the body you're feeling it the most. And then slowly soften, come back to neutral. Keep the legs and lower body as they are. Just go ahead and walk the fingers forward, melting heart pose. So again, the focus is on the upper body here. Chin or forehead melting down towards the ground. And some of us will meet the ground, some of us won't. So don't be put off if it's a long way away. Keep pushing down through the hands so the arms are pretty active. I want it to be a pretty active shape here. And then just close your eyes while you're here. As you breathe in, can you breathe in through the nose? Visualize the breath working its way down towards the belly, and then notice the expansion of the ribs, just as if we were upright. The ribs moving forward, backwards, out to the left and side, right side of our mats. This fresh energy draws in. As you exhale, notice how you let go of that breath, and you maybe feel like you can melt a little closer down to the ground. When we've been sitting down a lot or carrying a heavy load mentally or physically, we tend to close these areas. The breath shortens. And with that, we move into that fight or flight mode of our nervous system. And when we lengthen the breath, we immediately draw ourselves into a calmer state of mind. One more long, relaxing breath here. And when that breath is complete, just lifting the chest, walking the hands back to where we started, and then tuck the toes under. Lift the hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. First one of the day, perhaps. So let's just walk the dog. We're lifting one heel, bending the same knee, getting a little movement through the back of the ankles, the back of the calf, hamstrings, those bigger, juicier muscles at the top. And sometimes it can feel like these muscles get really tight. And I want you to just notice if it's more on one side of the body than the other. Can you push the ground away from you with the hands? So it's like you're lifting the hips up to the sky, and this gives us this feeling of length through the spine. Nice big breath. And then just pause, but walk your feet out a little wider. Toes are going to point outward, heels are in, and just walk your hands towards your feet as best you can. So you're in this kind of loose forward fold at the back of the mat. Bend your knees here, and just take hold of your elbows, opposite elbows. And you can be still, or you can just sway a little from side to side. Head is heavy, neck is relaxed. And just notice how that bringing of the torso and the legs closer together gives you more intensity through the back of the legs here. One more breath, just like this, just releasing, dangling. When that breath is finished, hands to the ground, keep the toes as they are, bend the knees if you can, and just sink down into your malasana. Now you can, if you want to, grab a block to sit your bottom on. You can also sit the block underneath your heels. And we're going to bring the hands towards the heart. If you can take the elbows in between the legs, do. That's just going to help you to widen those legs out. Keep the chest nice and broad. Close your eyes for just a moment. And as you close your eyes, come back to the breath awareness again. As you breathe in through the nose, you're guiding the breath down to the belly, but I want you to visualize space arriving in through the inner thigh, an area that we grip and hold on to when we sit down a lot, when we're a little tense in our mind as well. Even when it's a colder day, we tend to tense up in this area. Take another big breath here. And when that breath is complete, you're just going to slowly open up your eyes. If you were sitting on something, release it out of the way. Hands to the floor, feet face forward, and straighten those legs out. And then go ahead and walk your fingers forwards, downward facing dog. And then look forward, soften the knees, step right foot between the hands, lower left knee down here. Come onto the top of left foot, and then draw your belly in and up. Hands are going to come up to the sky. And I want you to imagine now that area we were just stretching. I want you to imagine the inner thighs gripping towards each other. And as you do that, it's going to draw you further away from the ground. Now grip the feet as if you're pushing the right heel towards the left toes. Take a big breath here. Keep the legs as they are. Turn the palms to face forward. Bend the elbows so that they come to be in line with your shoulders. And just slowly lift the heart up and squeeze the shoulders towards each other. And if you're like me, it's not such a bendy back today, but you'll be feeling quite a lot of release, I hope, through the inside line of the arms, the front of the chest. And yet there's powering up through the legs. So can you sink down a little here? Can you lift up a little with the heart? Nice and relaxed around the jaw. And then let's lower left hand down next to right foot. Simple twist, right hand to the sky. Now again, keep the left hand pushing into the earth. And as you do that, can you draw ribs on the right side of the body, around and back more? Can you reach higher with right fingers? And just notice how that feels. And then notice if left hip is reaching away from the earth. And if it is, sink it down. Lean back a little more. And remember, the more we breathe, the more we slow down the breath, the more we relax the mind, the more physical space we find. One last breath here. Nice, and then lower the hands to the ground. Tuck left toes, lift the knee, nice and simple, downward facing dog, stepping back. Hands push the earth away, hips high, thighs reaching back. Anytime we get to go upside down, it's a nice opportunity to boost our immune system here. So take a moment to appreciate the different things that are happening internally in the body as well as externally. Shake the head out a little bit, letting go of tension. And then soften the knees, look forward, left leg forward now. Right knee down, come onto the top of the foot, drawing that belly in and up so you're nice and strong in the corset of the core. Fingers up. And it's like you're pulling the feet towards each other, which kind of draws you away from the ground a bit. You'll feel it through the front of that right hip. You should feel like the outer hip muscles are working a little. Inner thighs are squeezing towards each other. So there's this feeling of stability, strength, a little bit of fire in the legs. You can sink down a bit if you want to. But I want you to think everything from the belly button up is lifting up. Okay, now the palms go to face forwards. We bend those elbows again. Second time here. Lifting the chest. So we're really lifting upward. And yet squeezing shoulder blades towards each other. And don't worry about how the shape looks. Just notice where you feel it. So for me, I feel it through the front of the right hip more, front of the chest, the ribs, inviting more space for me to breathe and draw energy into my system. Strengthening my upper back, relaxing through the throat. Sink a little deeper down, lift a little higher up. And then the right hand lands down to the mat, pushing into the mat with the right hand as I exhale and twist. Left ribs reach over to the side of the room, left hand up to the sky. And there's a tendency to kind of come away from the ground, so I want you to relax right hip downward. Notice again how when you relax, more space comes. Nervous system constantly seeking information that we pick up in our surroundings as to whether we're in a safe space or not. If we tell it that we're in a safe space, everything unwinds, releases. One more breath here. And then lower left hand down to the top of the mat. Tuck those right toes, lift the knee. This time, step forward. Forward fold at the top. Go ahead and widen the feet once again. Toes are going to point out. We're going to go into that same position in a moment here. So as you inhale this time, halfway lift, spine long. And then exhale, bend the knees, sinking back into that Malasana. So it gives us this nice opportunity in Malasana again to just get into the inner thighs. And those of you who have practiced with me a while, you know that I'm a big fan of opening this area. It's where the Chinese meridian lines, kidney, liver, and spleen are the ones that are most affected by stress. Those lines that help us to release our worries, our fears, help us to have more clarity in our thoughts, and at the same time help us to have this steady flow of blood and circulation of energy through the system. So we're just going to be here for another breath, being mindful of all of those things that are happening on the inside, as well as the physical stretch of the adductors. Okay, now when that breath is finished, hands down, straighten out the legs, toes face forwards here. And from this place, I want you to just belly to spine, roll yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae until you come up to stand. Okay, now hands are going to come up to heart center here. Push down through the feet as you inhale, lift up through the fingers. As you exhale, hinge from the hips, hands are going to come to the ground, left foot back. Knee to the earth, top of the foot to the ground. We've been here before. Fingers all the way up to the sky here. Sink down into the hips, draw the belly in and up. So there's that feeling of release through the front of the left hip, power in the legs. Take a nice big breath. Let's change things up a little here. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Chest lifts. Fingers are actively reaching away from the lower back. So again, that focus on opening through the front body here. Keeping things nice and simple. Last breath, like this. Now some of you might want to grab a block, so if it's at the back of your mat, just grab it as you go, bring it near to the top. And I want you to bring the hands now to the inside of the right foot, and you're going to wiggle right foot over to the edge of the mat. Okay, this is where your block will be handy. And roll out onto the outer edge of that right foot if it's manageable for your ankle. And then take a big breath in, chest is reaching forward. And this might be enough, especially if you've been pretty active with your running or walking this week. It might feel like a lot through that left hip. If you've been sitting down a lot, it might feel like a lot as well. And then if it's okay, some of you might come down to forearms on the block. Some of you might come down to forearms on the mat. And just keep on letting that right knee draw outward if it's manageable, so that we're accessing that inner thigh area again. And then there's this tendency when things are uncomfortable, and this shape is not everyone's favorite, to kind of close the chest, rounding the upper back. I want you to do the opposite. Reach the chest forward. Continue that idea of lengthening front body, noticing that it's uncomfortable perhaps, but also recognizing it's temporary. Discomfort won't stay forever. And the more we can focus on the positive aspects of any situation we're in, the easier it can become mentally to deal with. Take another big breath here. And when that breath is finished, we're going to work our way back up to our hands. Take the block to the side, have it handy nearby. Just wiggle that right foot in again here. All right, and now you've got a hand either side of that leg. Keep reaching the chest forward. We're going to do a little back and forth with this. So chest forward as we inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to draw your left hip back above left knee, straightening out right leg, or your version of straight, chest down towards the leg. But we're still thinking chest and heart towards toes. And then your inhale comes back to where we started, a bend in the knee, a lift of the heart. Nice. And then the exhale is that reaching back, lengthening through the back of the body here. Let's go one more time. Inhale, chest forward. Nice big lift. And then exhale, pausing here for an extra breath. So just getting into the back line of the body. Notice how that feels to release there. And then bring the bend back into the knee. And I'm going to get you to just kind of, I don't have a good word for it, but take that left foot off the mat behind you so that you can come up into kind of a mini warrior two. Okay, so your left foot's behind you, right knee's in the center. And then go ahead and just take your arms nice and wide away from each other here. For a moment, flip left palm up, lean forward, right elbow or forearm into right thigh, and just lean over. So your left hip's going to come forward a bit, that's fine. So we're now getting into that inner thigh area, but also side body. Can you draw the shoulder back? Can you reach the fingers further forward? And just notice how that feels. Sink down a little more into the hip if it feels good. One more. Nice. And then come back up to where you were and then change it back so you're facing the top of your mat again. Walk those hands forward, tuck the toes, lift the knee, step it back to plank. Now some of you will go straight to down dog here. Some of you will take chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra or cobra. Chest forward, so tension on the front body, strength on the back. And then meeting in downward facing dog. So tucking the toes, lifting the hips. Taking 2 breaths, head heavy, neck relaxed, just noticing how you feel. If it's too much to be upside down, and it might be, then child's pose, or just come to sit on your shins in hero pose. So that your head is above your heart instead of the other way around, knowing that this is your practice, so take it as you need it. Take a nice big breath. And then slowly begin to look forward. Step your left foot between the hands, right knee down, top of the foot to the earth, fingers to the sky. Okay, so we've been here a few times. Sink into the hip, the belly in and up, draws us back to get more sensation through the front of the hip. Outer hips working, inner thighs working. Lots of different things happening. Big, big breath. Let's go ahead and interlace the fingers between the back, between the hands rather, lift up with the chest. Hands reaching away. Notice how that feels through the front of the chest. It's our 4th time opening like this here. Keeping the smile in place. Anytime it vanishes, bringing it back. Temporary moments of any discomfort. And then we release those hands down to the inside of that left foot. Grab a block if you need it. Left foot is going to wiggle over to the left side of the mat, maybe even onto the outside edge of that left foot. Okay, chest forward, nice and long. Check in with the front of the right hip. Remember, one side might feel different to the other. If you need to adjust things, you will. Option to stay on your hands, option to come down to forearms here, lizard pose. And just notice your reactions to being here once you settle in. For some of us, this feels really super juicy. Juicy in a nice, friendly way. For some of us, this can be a little strong. So I want you to find the place that feels good for you. Not necessarily the easy place, but the place where you can feel sensation, you can feel things happening. A place where you can witness your reactions. Notice if the knuckles turn white, and if they do, just give the fingers a wiggle, relax them. Notice what happens around the jaw. If the tongue travels up to the roof of the mouth or not here. Notice that the shoulders try to creep up to the ears. All of these are habits that you might have on the yoga mat, but chances are they're also appearing in your day-to-day life from time to time. So when we start to notice those habits, it means we can choose which ones we keep, which ones we let go of. Take another breath. And then go ahead and make your way back up to your hands, moving the block to the side, wiggling left foot in a little here. And just take a moment to sink into that hip, chest forward. So this is what will be in our position for our inhale. The exhale draws the right hip back above the knee, left leg straightens out, toes point back towards us, so we're finding length through the back of the leg. Some of you are going to feel the release in the back body here. Go ahead and bend the knee as you inhale. Heart comes forward, hip sinks down, nice and long through the front body. Exhale, reaching it back, hip above knee, or generally in that direction, lengthening back line of the body. One more time, bending the knee, heart forward. And then that extra breath as we exhale here, taking another inhale and exhale. And we've only done it a few times back and forth, but just notice if it feels like things have shifted there. Just clearing out any clutter in the body for this new day ahead. Go ahead and bend into your left knee and turn that right foot behind you so that it comes off the mat, so that when we come up, again, we're in that little modified warrior two. Fingers reaching away from each other, so we're nice and open in the chest, nice and strong in the upper back. Flip the right palm up this time. Lean forward, left forearm to left thigh, and let's reach over with the right arm. And continue to sink into that left knee, just like you would if we were a little further from the ground. Sometimes this can actually feel a little more powerful than being on warrior two. And those of you who are a little hypermobile, this can feel a little easier on that back knee. Shoulder draws back, fingers reaching, sinking down. Take a breath. Side body awakening, inner thigh opening. Outer hip strengthening. We're going to come back up to that warrior two shape. Hands are going to find the ground. Just wiggle everything around until you face the top of the mat again here. Hands down. Tuck the toes, lift the knee. Option to go straight to down dog or to plank. Chaturanga. Your choice of uplift. Baby cobra, cobra, upward dog. Focus on front body opening, back body strong. Nice, and then tuck the toes under, lifting back up to our downward facing dog. And just taking 2 breaths here. Child's pose if you prefer, hero pose if you prefer to be upright. And just notice, how do we feel in the shape we're in now? How does our mood feel, our energy feel compared to when we first began the practice together? Sometimes these simple movements, even though we've done them thousands of times before perhaps, they just bring us back to center with familiarity, and that opportunity to explore how we feel day by day just gives us that sense of refreshment. When you finish the breath you're on, I want you to just look to the middle of the mat, step your feet there, and then bring your bottom down. Okay, and we're going to come into a position with the right leg for you, nice and wide away. Left leg is going to bend, foot comes in towards the groin or thereabouts. Okay, sitting nice and tall. Sliding right hand down the leg, left hand comes to lower back. Okay, so that's side body release. Option to take the hand up to the sky. Option to lean over and get more reach there. So 3 different options for you. And as you lean over, some of us are going to feel it through the side body, which is perfect. A lot of us, particularly if we're tight, are going to feel it through the groin, through the inner thigh. Both of which are areas I'm trying to bring our attention to here as we slow things down towards the end of the practice now. Take a big, big breath here. Slowly navigate your way back to upright. Keep the legs as they are for a moment. Sit tall. And then see how it feels to lean back without hands and swap the legs over. And if that's not happening today, use your hands. Toes point back towards us on that left leg. Sitting tall. Sliding left hand down the leg towards the ankle. Right hand to lower back, first option. Hand to the sky, second option. Hand reaching over, third option. And let go of the notion of this being about touching the foot. You can see how far away my hand and foot are from each other here. I want you to focus on drawing shoulder back, lengthening side body, just tuning into how it feels through the groin. Noticing the freedom that we create through the mind and body with these simple movements. The perfect kind of class for first thing in the morning, just as valid at the end of the busy day. And I like to think about this practice as always bringing us back to center. Slowly come back up to your seat. Now, two options. You can bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet together for bound angle pose, or if you prefer, legs out wide, toes point back towards you, either way getting into the groin here. So picking the shape that suits you best. If you're with your feet together, interlace your fingers around your toes, sit tall on the in-breath, and as you exhale, just slowly working your way forward. Just noticing what there is to feel here. Collarbone broad, don't worry about head reaching the ground. Think about lengthening spine, lifting heart, space in lower back and inner thigh. And while you're here, close your eyes, just noticing your mood, your energy. Know that even in those moments in the shapes that are not your favorites, there is something valuable happening inside of you. A shifting gear, letting go of the things we no longer need, and an ability then to draw in more of what we want to draw in, more positivity, more energy, whatever it may be. Take another big breath. And then ever so slowly, bringing yourself back up to a seat. Hands come under the knees, guide the feet together. And let's go ahead and lie ourselves down. So make a little space either side of your mats. Roll yourself down. And then simple recline twist. So right leg straightening out, left knee hugging into the chest here. Left arm out to the left side of the room and just guide the knee across the body. Okay, and you can wiggle over to the side of the mat if you need. No intention of the knee touching the ground unless it's easy for you to do so. But I do want your shoulders to stay on the floor. So that will impact how much of a twist you can make. But when you're in that twist, I want you to just notice how it feels through the outside line of the body. In an area that we often forget about. We focus on the front and back of the body a lot. And just giving us this opportunity to clear out the junk. In Chinese medicine, the inside line of the body is the liver meridian line, and the liver is the planning part of the partnership, so the creative ideas department. And the outside line of the body is its partner organ, the gallbladder. And the gallbladder is responsible for taking the creativity of the liver and putting those ideas into action, making things happen. So whenever you're feeling a little stuck in life, think about shapes that open through the inner thigh. When you want to take action, releasing through the outer body. One more breath here. And then slowly coming back through to center, we're going to make our way to the final side, final shape of the practice. Right knee draws into the chest, right arm over to the side of the room, knee across the body towards left side. And notice how it feels here. Shoulders connect to the earth. And there's lengthening opportunity now all the way through the back of the body, the outside line of the edge of the hip, side of the waist and the ribs, this beautiful juicy twist through the center of our organs. And visualize the back of the ribs, particularly the right side, melting down towards the earth, fascia releasing, muscles releasing. You might have a little gurgling going on in the belly from the twist. And take another breath in this direction, briefly aware of how this side feels compared to the first side. And when that breath is complete, slowly, slowly unwinding. Coming to lie flat on your back or seated in meditation position if you prefer. Hands can rest on the belly or arms can be alongside the body. Wherever feels like a place where you can be at ease. And wherever you arrive to, just closing your eyes here. If you're lying on your back, letting the whole of the weight of the back of the body melt down towards the ground. And feeling the support of the ground beneath you. As you surrender to stillness. And those of you who have the time to stay here a little longer, feel free to stay here. And those of you joining me for the end of the practice, let's just start to bring a little movement and awareness back into the fingers and the toes. And gently reaching the arms all the way up overhead, full body stretch. Drawing the knees in towards the chest now, getting as small as you can, giving them a hug with your arms, rolling a little bit from side to side, back and forth. And eventually rolling over to rest on whichever side makes sense for your body. And then keeping your eyes closed, using your hands to push the ground away, lifting you up to a comfortable seat, however that looks. And just take a moment to pause as you arrive there. How do I feel? Notice the sensations, the space in the body. Notice how the mind is doing, how the breath feels. And know that you can carry these feelings of spaciousness, these feelings of ease with you into the rest of your day. Know that they're always there inside of you to come back to anytime that you need them. Let's bring our hands together at heart center. Bowing our head to our hands in gratitude for the practice, in gratitude for our health. Namaste.